2.6, 2.7, number 5, they give us a function f and a function g. So should type those into the calculator. So remember on function f, there are two things on top, two things on the bottom. So you have to put those in parentheses before you divide them, and the x plus 5. So they look the same. If you notice when they graphed, the blue one went first and then the red one. So why are they looking the same? All right, so let's go ahead and determine the domain of f. If I was going to do the domain of f, I would want to take the bottom, which is x, the x minus 5, and I set that equal to 0. When you add 5 to both sides, I get x equals 5. So that tells me that that can't be used. It makes the bottom undefined. So you could go down here right away and say, oh, that's undefined. That's what they're asking you to type in if it's undefined. There's an error on your calculator at that point. So the domain then would be all the numbers that would not be equal to 5. So you do a negative infinity to 5, 5 to infinity. And then when you look at the domain of g, that's just the linear, right? So that would be negative infinity to infinity. So when we go back and think about the graph that we saw, the 1, like at 5, was a line through here, but it must have had a hole in it. And then the other one was just the straight linear. So that's what's going on in this problem. All right, so are there any vertical asymptotes of f? So when we look at this graph, no, it behaved like a linear. So D, N, E, there's no vertical asymptote. G, the linear, certainly there would be no vertical asymptote there. Are there holes in any of them? Yes, there was a hole at 5 in function f. And then in G, no, there isn't a hole. So that for me was also a D, N, E. So for my problems, these are the answers. Now, to fill in the rest of these tables, I would just use my calculator and then go to the table, and they want you to start with 0. And so, yeah, they behave the same. If you look at all of their numbers, they behave the same, except at 5, the first one had an error because it made the bottom 0. And in the linear, it was 10. So that's the only difference.